This musical instrument includes as part of its workings what I'd call a strum kit, which is a way to synthesize sounds somewhat like drums, but in a way that can be controlled by strumming like you'd strum a guitar. Though this version, perhaps Strumkit is the wrong word, because you can also stimulate the sounds, stimulate the mechanism to make the sounds with plucking with the thumb or other fingers if you liked. Let's see if we can get this into the picture. Here we go. You can see here that if you pluck this, you get a sound a bit like a bass drum. And here, something that we use in place of a snare. I might change that a bit. There's a few ways you can manipulate the sound. This snare thing is actually the snare wire from a snare drum. I didn't have the idea for that myself. It was suggested by the excellent drummer Jai Widdowson Jones. This here, though, this is one of the versions of how to produce a bass drum sound. It actually works by, there's two bits of wood here. You can pluck either of them or strum either of them. In this design, this one would be for plucking, so that you can play the strings with your other fingers while like so. And this would be more for strumming, so you could strum the strings, normally with a pick because it's a bit harsh on the fingers, and also strum either the snare sound or the bass drum sound. Let's see if we can see this clearly. Yeah, these bits of wood, they have two strings at the top and two strings at the bottom, and in both cases the strings come from here, they're held apart, then they cross over and then go to this bit of wood where they go on either side, then they cross over again and go on either side of this bit of wood, just move that a bit, and then they cross over again here and are held at this point apart. So they've crossed over 3 times and the bits of wood fit in between the crossovers. Let's see if we can see this properly. Hopefully you can see that the bits of wood are quite long. The distance between where the strings go on the bottom, and that's the top, the difference between where the strings are at the top and at the bottom is about 5 centimeters, 50 millimeters. The moment the sound is being picked up by a humbucking pickup, which is just here, and that's picking up the sound from everything, the strings and the snare and the bass drum simulator. That isn't how it normally be done. There's normally one pickup for each, and they can control the volume separately using potentiometers, which is much easier. You could in theory control the volume separately using mechanics, but I haven't found a way to do that yet particularly. At the moment it's the sound from the strings and the snare is being picked up by vibrations flowing acoustically through the instrument, and being picked up by how the pickup is attached to a slightly different bit of the instrument, so there'll be a difference between how the vibrations are here compared with there, and that will create the sound. But normally, at the moment, this pickup is picking up the sound from a string, because they're nickel wound steel strings, so they're picked up magnetically by the pickup. But normally, instead of having just a string there, I would have a piece of steel fixed onto the wood that would be much larger mass, and that would create a stronger effect on the pickup. Don't know if there's anything more to say, really. Some more angles. Oh, yeah. There's 6 strings on this for the drum sounds, which go to these 6 machine heads at the end. 2 of the strings are to hold the snare wire in place at this end, and in theory tighten it. It might need a bit of change to make that work properly. At the moment I don't think it really does that, but normally it would tighten it. At the other end, the snare wire is just screwed on with 2 screws at the end there. The other 4 strings make up the bass drum simulator, as I've shown, and they go all the way along here to where the machine heads are at the end. In theory you could have all the mechanism down here somewhere, which I have done before, but this particular setup, I did put it together quickly, and so it can be just adjusted a lot, so that I can test out some of the different ways of arranging the components, so that it should, with a bit of experimentation, make it easy to play. So you wouldn't normally have these great big things sticking into you. That's just because it's a temporary setup to make it easy to adjust. So this is the